Team E, your conferring time is over. You may start your presentation and you have 5 to 7 minutes to express your views. Any member of your team may speak one at a time and your time starts now.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I would like to start by complimenting the opposition team. Team D, you wonderfully presented your presentation, and it was great to know that our views were actually quite similar, which actually made us think that all of us, even being on opposite teams, we actually can come to a common conclusion. So, as to start with the first question of yours, that we as responsible citizens, as you clearly mentioned, that many people who the maximum utilizers of search engines of Google or any other search engine which is present, we the teenagers are the maximum utilizers of it. Now, what is our responsibility in the current scenario to curb this problem? So me being a responsible citizen, on my part, I can say that whenever we go on search engines or we go on YouTube, even if let's take the example of YouTube per se, information that you gather on Google, you get it in a video form in YouTube, right? The information is the same. So if I go on YouTube, one of the major issues that all of us people, the viewers, all of us complain is the clickbait. Now I'll search the topic and then I see that there are thousands of videos on the same issue and all of them are clickbaited. Nearly majority of them are not giving the proper source. So now me being a responsible citizen, it is my responsibility and duty. First of all, even if I'm clicking on a video, let's say it's human tendency that I find a title which is very suitable. Let's say I just clicked on it. But it is my responsibility that I will read the entire article and after that I will come to a conclusion. Just by reading the headline, just by reading the clickbait, the words on the video, I would not make my judgment. Second, my second responsibility would be that I would not, I don't think that I'm in a position to comment. I don't think that I would be in a position to make a remark as if something is ethical or something of somebody is wrong or right, as long as the honorable court has not given their verdict on it. I won't think that it is my right to present my views as long as the court is not, don't have a clear stance on it. Now my peer Hanok would continue.
Thank you, Nandini, and I would like to appreciate your presentation. I would like to take an example of a website that is India Kanun. I believe that our honorable judges are more well aware of that website better than us. So that is a website that is specific for Indian lawyers to study on cases. That is the thing that we can opt for. We as a team are not against the availability of data on internet. We are against the indexing of data on internet. If you search anything related to a case, you won't never see India Kanun app on the top. If you just type the case name, only then will you find this India Kanun website. So we as a team we firmly believe that indexing should not be done. Availability of data, it's there. It's the right to information is there. We are not against it, but we believe that there should not be an indexing, as we can see in the example of India Kanun app website. And moreover, I personally think that the question that was posed to us for right to privacy and right to information and right to be forgotten, this is on a higher level. I am no one to decide on that. We have our courts, high courts and supreme courts. I can just give my suggestions, but I can't come to a conclusion on that. We have more our honorable courts above us that can comment on it. Thank you.
Team D, the second question that you posed, that was the absolute first thing that came into our mind, that right to transparency and right to be forgotten, they are quite contradicting. I would like to first state that in one of the landmark cases of retired Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India, the nine-judge Supreme Court bench clearly mentioned that it is the right of a person to decide whether his personal information should exist on the public internet or not. And they also mentioned that right to privacy is an intrinsic facet of the Article 21. Now, what our team suggests, and I agree with what my peer Hanok said, is we don't want indexing of cases where the person was acquitted or cases where it was relevant. If I am dealing with a shopkeeper, if I'm a businessman and I'm just doing a business dealing with a shopkeeper, why does the shopkeeper need to know my domestic violence case where I was acquitted? Or it may be a baseless case, or it may be a meritless case. The shopkeeper searches my name, and then the first title he reads, it's a clickbait title, he just reads the title and makes his judgments. So the information exists at the source. Right to be forgotten is basically deleting the index of it. The information exists at the source. It will exist in the Indian judiciary, but it will not be indexed in the search engines, as it was seen in the cases of Mario Gonzalez, where the Google Spain was instructed to remove the cases from the search engines, but it still is at the source. So right to transparency is still there because there are methods like the RTI Act, and also police does a background check. So there are methods and there are course of actions in place where you can access the information, but Google search is not the right way to access the information, especially when the person in front of me does not need to know my past cases. So to briefly summarize, our team basically suggests that de-indexing should be done in the cases where the person was acquitted by the court. The information exists at the source, but then it is not indexed in the search engines.
मैं इसमें एक तर्क जोड़ना चाहूंगी कि ऐसी मामलों की जानकारी पाने के लिए हमारे सरकार द्वारा बहुत सी ऐसी जगहें हैं जहां से हम ये पढ़ सकते हैं, जैसे पुस्तकालय, संग्रहालय। हमें इन्हें जानने के लिए जरूरन खोज इंजन पर जाने की जरूरत नहीं है। मुझे हमें लगता है कि मेरे साथियों ने आपके प्रश्न का जवाब दे दिया है। धन्यवाद।
Okay, Team E, are you through with your answers? Thank you, Team E. Judges, please write down your scores for Team E's response. Thank you, Team D and Team E. I must say it was a good deliberation of thoughts by both the teams. It is now time for the judges' questions. Team E, no conferring is allowed in this round. You are requested to respond to questions asked by judges immediately. I would like to request Advocate Shailander Aglave to ask his question to Team E. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so you dealt with a lot of aspects of right to privacy. I really appreciate your efforts. And sorry if I forgot, I also appreciate your efforts too in both of the rounds. Now, the question before you, the case study before you, has one important aspect which I was expecting from the both to be dealt with, both team to be dealt with. And if you look at that particular point, the moderator's question, or rather the heading of your case study, conflict between right to be forgotten and general public's right to transparency against judicial records. Okay. Now this aspect of judicial records, I found missing in your thought process of both the teams. Why this particular aspect of judicial records is important and what exactly it is pitched against. So it is pitched against the right to be forgotten, right? So this is something which I was expecting and I think it was lacking. So maybe it's an opportunity for you to deliberate and express yourself on that particular point. What I particularly feel, there are other aspects which you need to give a thought to while dealing with the right to privacy. See, man, we call it as a social animal. So when we call man as a social animal, there is this particular desire for every man, for every human being. Now, when I say man, woman, both of them, is the desire to be known, that recognition, that identity which every person seeks for, right? So a person who is sitting in the audience and a person who is talking on the stage have different level of satisfaction about this desire to be known. So person who comes and speaks on the stage, he gets a better satisfaction of his desire, right? A person who is putting on his views on the social media is better known than a person who has the views and has not put them before the social media. Now the conflict, the psychological level conflict, I feel, is at this level, is your desire to be known and your right to be forgotten. So you have that desire that you should be known. So you express yourself. You put your views on social media, Twitter and Facebook and everything. Whatever you do, you go to a place, you have some food, you go to a restaurant, you immediately click the pictures and put it on. So what gives you, what is the psychological aspect behind it? You get some recognition, you get known to the persons. You're putting your views on it. Now, when you are putting this, what you are doing is that you are exposing yourself to people's opinion, to people's criticism, and people's likes also. As you get likes, so you get dislikes on your posts. Okay. So this is the internal conflict within a person about the desire to be known and about the right to be forgotten. So if something has happened to you, say like in this particular case, some criminal action you have faced, you have come out of it, you want that to be forgotten, but you want whatever you yourself are doing to be known. Okay, so this is the internal conflict within a person. And this, I think, is the base of study about the ethical aspect of the right to privacy. Okay, so whenever you are going to ordering pizza on an app, you put your likes, you put your phone numbers and everything, and you expose yourself to that particular thing. Now, the second aspect to it is the extent of data which can be stored, which now all these marketing companies, they collect your data like anything. You search anything on the Google, you get the ads the very next minute on your on your various Facebook accounts. You start getting those ads, whatever you have searched on Google. Search one product, you get the ads of 10 products on your Facebook account. Correct? So when you open Facebook, you see that. So this is something which we are exposing to, we are allowing to. But to what extent it should be used and processed, this is another ethical question. With the advancement of the electronic media, this question is becoming a more and more discussed aspect to it. And the third aspect is about the third aspect is about the right to be forgotten and the right of a person who is dealing with you, his right to know you. If I am going to hire you, I want to know about you. Now this, how I can know, is another aspect. One basic source is what you tell me. But I want to always know what you don't tell me. That is what I always want to know. Anyone. This is a not only the aspect relating to your professional field, but this is relating to your personal field also. How you present yourself is what is known, but what people want to know is what is hidden behind you. This is human psychology. आपका कौन सा पर्सनालिटी का एस्पेक्ट ऐसा है कि जो हमें पता नहीं है, उसमें हमें ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट रहता है. Correct? I'm sorry, I'm using English. But this is what is important, or this is what is to be understood. So the third and the fourth aspect is about the maturity of the readers. Correct? Which I think you all have missed out about dealing in the ethical aspect of this right to privacy. There are a lot of things available about me on the internet. So if you go and search, 10 things are there. But how much you as a reader would value is something which is also important. So if the things are available on the internet, the person reading gives weightage to something and does not give weightage to something. My question here now, so I have given you some aspects of thinking. One question is about this particular aspect of maturity. Now, this aspect of maturity is now coupled with or juxtaposed with the aspect of your own attitude. आपने पढ़ लिया, मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? I don't care what you read. I am what I am. My abilities, my attitudes, and my integrity is not dependent upon what you have read. It is there, which is something within me. So if you believe in me, I'm with you. If you don't believe in me, I'm not with you. So this is an attitude of a person, and the other side is the maturity of the reader, how much he values small issues about it. So my question to you is that whether the current status of the society and the psyche, the mentality of the people has reduced in its level of maturity, right? And whether it is good to have this attitude of I don't care what you think. Okay, so this is a purely ethical question. Second aspect of which you left out, and I want you to answer about, is that what is the necessity that judicial records should be part of public records, and how will the judicial system affected if judicial records are made secretive documents, and how do you strike that balance between the need to make the judicial records as public documents and the right of a person that his information should not be made public? Okay, so maybe I think a question within the question about the judicial records and a separate question totally on the ethical aspect of it, psychological and ethical aspect of it.
Thank you, sir, for such thought-provoking questions. Team E, I hope questions are clear to you. Okay, you may begin now.
Thank you, sir, for the questions.
And again, just to interrupt, again, as I told to this team also, I welcome your questions.
Sir, we surely have some questions, sir, but first we'll try to attempt to answer your questions, sir. Sir, first of all, your first question, sir, about the maturity of the current generation or the current society, sir. Recently, via this forum, I read into this whole concept of media trial in detail, and this is something that is quite common these days. Social media trial, news channel trials, where common people are passing judgments about cases, and it has gone to such an extent that it is now influencing judges' decision in the courts. And these days, because of technology and social media, there is a information overload, due to which we are not able to sort out and filter all of this information, and all of this information coming at us. I think, sir, the maturity is somewhat lacking, sir. And it is not at all ethical and good, sir. I think even if you talk about, sir, fake allegations being put on a person. Recently, I heard about a case of a class 11 child who committed suicide because of a fake harassment case filed against him, because he knew that even if he's innocent, the society will not let him live, because all of these news articles, because all of these YouTube videos that will come up about him, because all of this school, everybody start judging him. Nobody wants to hear what the judge says. Everybody wants to opine. Everybody has their opinion, and they feel that they are obligated to let everyone know their opinion. everyone thinks that they're entitled to their opinion. People are entitled to their opinion, but then with the advent of social media, people are now publicly and explicitly expressing their opinion, sir. So ethically, sir, the current state of society now and the maturity is at a, you could say, sir, not a good state now. Media trial and all of this must be controlled, and I feel like, sir, laws are not the only way, sir. We as a society, we should just not depend on judiciary to create laws for us that, okay, media trial is illegal or this is illegal. We as a society, we need to develop ourselves, and we should be mature enough to, okay, you wait for the verdict at least, or you are entitled to your opinion, but then you don't express it explicitly that, okay, this is what I'm thinking. So, sir, maturity is what is required, sir. And I agree with you, sir. It's not good, sir.
And sir, first of all, sir, thank you for the question, sir, and those thought-provoking questions. I really, sir, appreciate you for that. And even, sir, like you mentioned out something that we missed, sir, we like to add, sir. Sir, first of all, setting a base, the support to our argument, sir. In the Puttaswamy case, sir, it was said that a judgment was made that a person can control his or her existence on social media. That's not the maturity of you judging someone, that's you yourself using your social media. So for that type of maturity, for that aspect, we are free to use our social media, or we are free to portray ourselves in the way we want. Another thing is, sir, like I'll again take that example that you, in the previous case study, you said that we'll assess a professional doctor on the Google search engine. We'll search for his name. Sir, I would like to ask you a question, sir. Sir, not you as a judge, not you as a expert in law, just as a layman, sir. If you anytime search for a doctor by his name on a search engine and you come to know that he was found in an illegal activity before, what would you do as a layman there? Because, sir, a layman has no expertise. A layman just knows the fact what he reads on the search engine. He'll just know that the doctor has committed this and this thing. He was accused of it, but he was rescued afterwards. He was found innocent. But, sir, there is a human tendency. Maturity, the level of maturity is not there. There is a human tendency that you will not opt for that doctor. So, sir, I would like to ask, sir, what would you as a layman do in that situation, sir?
As I told you, things depend upon your analytical ability and your level of maturity to decide about how much weightage to be given. So the ability to make a distinction between the fact relevant to your decision making and the fact irrelevant to your decision making, this I would call as maturity. So if you have 10 set of facts relating to one person, how much you are going to give the weightage for each set of facts, for each information which you are getting? Because I would say the information which you are getting is what is the responsibility of the media. But processing that information is what your ability decides. Right? So how do you process it so that development of a good information processing attitude in your mind is what is important. And this is what is where most people are lacking about. Okay, so what we talked about maturity is this, is the processing of the information in your mind. So what I would do, I certainly cannot give a decision right now because it all depends upon what is the information which I have. Okay, yes.
Thank you,
And
sir.
one more thing about this, this aspect of Puttaswamy case. See, I was expecting, or rather I would expect now also, that I don't want an answer for you. There are much more decisions on this particular aspect. Puttaswamy case is a subsequent 9-bench decision. It's a constitutional bench decision. But before that, there was a Rajagopalan case, from where this actual discussion about, or rather, the first decision of Supreme Court on the aspect of right of privacy. And Puttaswamy case is the subsequent one. In both these decisions, they are mostly concurring decisions. It's a more detailed judgment, Puttaswamy case. It's almost 600, 650 pages judgment by Supreme Court. All 9 judges have given their decisions. In both these cases, this particular aspect of the judicial records has been discussed. And that is what is expected from you to read on that particular view of Supreme Court on this point of judicial records and the aspect of privacy. And there is one judgment of Madras High Court. It's actually a single bench judgment. It is of Karthik Theodore. That is one important judgment which has, the issue before the court was this only. Whether every accused has the right that his case and the information of his case should be totally deleted from the records. This was the specific, and this is something which you need to read about. Okay, you finish your further thing and then we can discuss more about
it. Sir, we value your information and expertise, sir. I'll definitely consider these points in my upcoming days, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, now to address your second question, sir, that you also recently mentioned about the judicial records, sir. Sir, we as a team, after what we studied, we inferred that judicial records is something that is absolutely necessary in any country. And it is something not to be deleted. Right to be forgotten by definition is that, sir, you don't delete the records at the source, but then you rather use other methods such as search engine optimization, or you use other methods to not index it. Now, sir, there are cases where article and newspaper and media companies are using these cases, using clickbait titles to make money out of all of these cases, sir. Now, sir, if you have to strike a balance between right to transparency, right to information, and right to be forgotten, we need to understand that how relevant is this case to that person. So, for example, if the person is a murder convict, or if the person has human right violations against him, then I am sure that this is information which is very relevant to any person. I mean, if I am dealing with a person, I should know that he was a murder convict, so I can protect myself, because maybe he can continue to do the crimes. But then, sir, what about fake cases, sir? What about cases and in the recent Me Too movement, sir, where we saw a lot of people and a lot of cases where they're taking advantage of the judicial system. They're taking advantage of the laws that are envisaged in the Constitution, and that even if the judge says, and even if the judge acquits the person of charges, the media is declaring him as a criminal. So, sir, judicial records must be kept, sir. But then what is required is search engines should not index cases which is not relevant or which is outdated. Now, who is the person who decides this? Is the honorable judge. The honorable judge is the person who may decide that, okay, if this case is meritless, or if this case is baseless, if this case was filed for benefits, then this information or this case must not be indexed in the search engines. So the honorable judge here is the most important person who decides that if this case is relevant to the person's history or person's future, and if it must be indexed in the search engines or not, sir.
Sir, I agree with Ashmit's argument, sir, that the person to decide, the judge is to decide, sir, whether it should be there on the database for the public on the top of the sites or not. Because he is an honorable judge of the court, and he can assess, he can analyze the gravity of the case. Only and only after analyzing the gravity of the case with consent of the person accused who has been released now, this data, or we can say this case, can be open to public for studying purpose or whatever reasons it can be. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So for your inputs. Sir, in the starting, sir, you mentioned about satisfaction. So satisfaction, sir, sir, as my peer Ashmit, sir, he mentioned about the Me Too movement. So me being a girl, sir, I think that I can explain it better. So, sir, the Me Too movement, it came into effect in India, sir. The whole ideology came in India in 2019. So in 2019, what happened was that Me Too movement was now being seen in India as a platform in which the females could address their issues, and the females could address the issues which they were too scared of. They were either scared of their family pressure, they were either scared of what the society may think, sir. So the Me Too movement served as a platform in which the females, or so even the males, let's say, so the females could raise their issues so that, so not as a so satisfaction, sir. So they're not gaining anything out of it. So the only thing that they're gaining out of it is that, so they're raising their voice against the injustice that they had attended, sir. Sir, because of whatever societal factors or parental factors or anything, sir, it might be that the voice of the girl was suppressed. But sir, now the fact that she found a platform in which she can openly tell everybody that this is something that has been wrongly done to me, she can raise awareness. So sir, as you said, the need for recognition, sir. Sir, if a girl, sir, is putting an issue, sir, is addressing her issue on the platform, sir, need of recognition, sir, can be taken into consideration, but sir, we also need to make sure that if you are raising your voice against issues which have been there and they have a strong base, sir, they serve as nothing, sir, but just a mean for raising awareness, sir. So, sir, if me being a person, sir, I'm raising my awareness, sir, raising my issue, sir, it is only so that the other people who have undergone the same trauma, undergone the same situations and circumstances which I have gone through, and just because I did not get the opportunity to go to the court or, sir, raise my voice to a high level, I, being a responsible citizen, sir, I should make sure that I raise awareness so that people reading, sir, they know that there is a lot to be done and suppressing your voice is not the option. So, sir, need of recognition is there, but sir, it can be seen, sir, in a positive aspect, sir.
मैं अपने समूह के बिंदुओं से पूरी तरह सहमत हूं और मैं इसे एक बार फिर दोहराना चाहूंगी कि लोगों की विकास स्थिति मौजूदा स्थिति में निचली स्तर की है, क्योंकि यहाँ वह किसी की जानकारी की गहराई को पढ़े बिना न्यायालय के आदेश को अच्छी तरह से गहराई से पढ़ने के बिना भी उसके ऊपर वह ऊपरी पंक्तियों को पढ़कर उसे ध्यान में रखकर किसी बेगुनाह की मर्यादा पर ठेस पहुंचाते हैं। अनावश्यक या अप्रासंगिक जानकारी को खोज इंजन को नहीं डालना चाहिए, नहीं प्रकाशित करना चाहिए। यह पूरी तरह न्यायालय के निर्णायक गण के ऊपर निर्भर होना चाहिए कि वह प्रासंगिक है या नहीं। धन्यवाद।
Okay, Teamy, are you through with your answers? Thank you, sir.
Let's take 1 minute. See, just for you to understand about the judicial records aspect. There are 2 things which I would like to tell you. One, our constitution has provided that the High Court and the Supreme Court are courts of records, right? It means that whatever judgment which they are delivering, it is a law. When Supreme Court delivers a judgment, when Supreme Court interprets a particular legal provision in a particular fashion, that is considered as the law of the land. And it has to be followed by every citizen of India. I mean, it is a law of the land like any other law enacted by the parliament. It has a similar enforceability, right? So this is in terms called as the judicial precedents. So what the court has held in a past case about a particular set of facts has a bearing if such similar facts come up before the lower judiciary at any subsequent point of time. So it has to be followed. So it is a thing which has to be followed. It is a thing which gives the sanctity. Now, second aspect is about the transparency. Why judicial records should be available? the basic principle, the basic tenet of Indian judicial system is the openness. Now, that judicial decision making is open for scrutiny. It is open to be viewed. Where does the whole judicial system gets its authority from? It is the constitution which gives them the authority. And where does the constitution come from? It is because of the democratic setup of the country. So it is we, the people of India, who are giving the powers to the judiciary. And so if the people of India are not getting the access to the judicial records, so that is a secrecy which will be happening, and that will be a total diversion from the basic tenet. And this is the importance of having judicial records available. So this was the other aspect to it. This was the other aspect to the clash between the right being forgotten and the right being known, or the right being that it should be known to the public. Okay, so that is why I have suggested you please read through the Madras High Court judgment. They have discussed all these aspects and how and why it is important for it to have. So again, as far as right to privacy is concerned, as far as judicial access to the judicial records is concerned, it is now a settled position of law. There is nothing more to be done. Supreme Court has already given its verdict. It is a part of the fundamental right. But how it is to be exercised, what exactly is the ethical issues in it, that's what we are here to discuss. Yes.
Sir, sorry, ma'am. I just had one question,
yes,
sir.
Please go ahead.
And the answer to the question I could not find in the internet. I read somewhere that a lot of lawyers and a lot of legal professionals suggest that privacy or right to privacy should be included in Article 19, Clause 2. Article 19, Clause 2 lays down the restrictions on the freedom of expression, sir. So do you think, sir, right to privacy of the other person should be included in the restrictions of Article 19, Clause 2, sir?
See, when Supreme Court gave its decision in Puttaswamy's case, what they have done is they have included this right to privacy as a right which is inherent in the Article 21, that is the right to life and personal liberty, right to live with dignity. So right to life, which is the basic concept or the basic heading of Article 21, it involves in it so many aspects to it. Now, why it is not in Article 19? Why it is under Article 21? Because Article 21 is from where this interpretation can be drawn. Article 19 gives the liberty to put certain restrictions. Now, what kind of restrictions? Yes, that is also discussed in Puttaswamy case. The court records, the public records, the security of the country. These are all the necessary exceptions to the right of information and right of privacy. Rather, they are restricting the right to know, and they are also exceptions to the right of privacy. So these are all the aspects which have been discussed by Supreme Court while delivering that particular judgment. So it's very important for you to read through it.
Thank you, sir. I must say, very enriching session. I came to know so many things. Thank you so much. Now I request Mrs. Poojanand to pose her question to Team E.
So Team E, my question to you is, see, under Data Protection Bill Act, that is in 2019, the right to be forgotten had been proposed, and there are lots of discussion about this in the Parliament itself. But what do you think? Do you think that once it is implemented, do you think is it going to be effective? For instance, in Akshay Singh's case, or maybe if we take a case, for example, if we take Mr. A, who has been accused of something like domestic violence, maybe in the year 2009, and the court has found him guilty, but after a month, with bail, he is out of the jail, but then he has to fight the case for 2 years, and then when he's proved innocent, that time he can apply for this data to be removed. But what about those 2 years? You're understanding? Because he is going to suffer from that stigma, the same prejudice these 2 years also. So do you think it's effective?
Thank you, ma'am, for your question, ma'am. So, ma'am, right to be forgotten is included in the PDP bill 2019, and it is still under discussion in the parliament, ma'am. So, after reading through what provisions was there in the PDP bill, ma'am, we agree that right to be forgotten must be a statutory right. It should not be a fundamental right, because we need to review each case, and the judge should be able to analyze each all the intricacies of the case and then give the decision. So it should not be a fundamental right, but rather be a statutory right. So, ma'am, right to be forgotten, we believe will be efficient, ma'am. In the recent case, which is a quite famous case of Mr. Nambi Narayan, was falsely accused of a lot of charges. Ma'am, we cannot bring back those years that any person spends in jail, ma'am. But at least the life afterwards, if he is acquitted of charges, the life afterwards, he can invoke this statutory right if it comes into action. And ma'am, at least the rest of his life he can live with dignity and not let his past cases define his future, ma'am.
Adding to the point, ma'am, it can not only affect that person's life afterwards, it can not only improve that person's life, but also the people's life that in the future can be accused and can be released afterwards, proving innocent, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question. I would just like to add to my peers' points. Ma'am, as you said, that if the right to forgotten, ma'am, is implemented, so ma'am, it comes into play, then would it be effective? Ma'am, definitely. Ma'am, as my peer stated, it would be affected. Many people would think that if the information is per se taken off internet, if the information per se is taken off Google, the search engines, then the information which was previously available on Google wouldn't be available on other search engines. Wouldn't it be available in newspapers or other medium where the people can actually access it? Ma'am, that can be taken into consideration, but ma'am, at the same time, we need to keep in mind that ma'am, crimes in a country is something that cannot be permanently eradicated. Ma'am, that does not mean we don't impose laws. We don't try to regulate it. We don't try to control it. Ma'am, we obviously do. Issues in a society will occur because we're people. Humans make errors. Now it is the duty, how we rectify it, how we improve it. Ma'am, I remember in the last few matches, Kulkarni sir came and he gave a very good example, ma'am, which is still in my head. In one of the matches, he gave the example of road speed breaker. Ma'am, he said that in a road, why is it important to build a speed breaker? If the driver is ethically, he knows that how to drive, he knows not to cross the speed limit, he knows what are the traffic rules, then what is the necessity of the government? What is the necessity to make speed breakers? Ma'am, this is the same thing. Ma'am, we know what is ethical, we know what is non-ethical, but somewhere down the line, we being humans, we somewhere, ma'am, don't, ma'am, personally, we don't rectify it. But it does not mean that we do not make laws, we do not make suggestions as to how to rectify the issue. Thank you, ma'am.
And ma'am, adding to the point, ma'am, there is a difference in practicing ethicality and knowing what's ethical. In practicing ethicality and knowing what's ethical, here is what when law comes into play. If a person is practicing ethicality, I personally believe we really don't need such rigid laws for the public. If we practice ethicality, we really don't need that. Law comes into place, we have certain rigid laws just because people, I won't comment they're aware or unaware, but people do practice unethicality in their life. Thank you.
महोदया, अगर किसी मामले का निरीक्षण करने के बाद वो बेगुनाह साबित होता है व्यक्ति, और अगर उसकी आगे की जिंदगी सुधर सकती है, तो चाहे वह 2 साल ले, 5 साल ले या 10 साल ले, अगर उसकी आगे की जिंदगी अच्छी है तो न्याय है जो सबसे ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है, इसलिए ये सही है. धन्यवाद.
Thank you, Team E. I would like to request Dr. Pranay Oswald to pose his question to Team E. Yes.
Well done, Team E. And congratulations, Ashmit, Hanav, Advait, Nandini, Savi, Ekta. Good poetry from your side too. It was a pleasure to listen to your poetries, especially in Hindi. There were multiple things which were discussed earlier by both our jury members. At the same time, I would also like to ask you all a few questions here. Are you all aware about dark web? You all aware about the deep web? So in today's time, practically it's impossible for you to hide your information from yourself as well. Because the kind of information when you're talking, the kind of information when you're publishing a post on Facebook, or writing something on Instagram, or publishing a tweet on Twitter, you cannot control this because maybe you have deleted this today, but it's saved somewhere on the cloud. So sometime in the near future, that could be ruled against you as well. And at the same time, in today's time, talking about celebrities, talking about media professionals, just recently we had the arrest of Alt News, right? The founder of Alt News, because he went against the code of conduct. At the same time, politicians cannot get away from media. Even if somebody wants to not publicize a certain amount of news or information, which is maybe right or wrong, that is secondary for the court to decide. But he cannot or she cannot control and regulate this kind of news in today's time. Secondly, talking about cricketers, talking about religious gurus. In today's time, practically speaking, there are credible, authentic sources like Nielsen, Indian Market Research Bureau, organizations like Meritrack, organizations like Truth Finder, organizations like People Finder, organizations like Being Verified. These are more credible sources for one to go and check about somebody if he or she has to hire somebody. Not go on Google or Wikipedia, because today, let's say, if I have to write something about Ashmit, that Ashmit is the Vice President of India, for the next 20 minutes, I can still keep this news alive because Wikipedia is open source, correct? You can write a blog, you can talk anything about you, but those things which are controlled by those powerhouses, which have a very strong marketing and branding budget, they can always bring that news up. You spoke about indexing. You also spoke about multiple things about controlling these things. But in today's time, if you have PEF in your pocket, you can control the indexing at your own terms. Read about these books on brand royalty and brand failures. They talk about all these things. But having said that, and coming back to our point, also had one of the case studies earlier on SRK's son Aryan Khan, right? So that also spoke about giving him a media trial or not. So in today's time, if some media house, if some news agency, if some PR agency wants to make money out of this information, of this breakfast news, which you so called, they are going to make money out of this. So even if you want to disclose this information or keep it hidden from all the classified sources, it cannot be controlled because it's completely outside your purview in today's time. And there are organizations like Adecco, Manpower, Randstad, Elixir, Kelly Services, Career Launcher, Monster Naukri. They do not go on your background checks, which is posted primarily on Google or Wikipedia. They do not even let their employers visit any of these sites. Okay. And irrespective of all these things, in this case, this guy was applying for a job, or this guy was applying for this guy was actually applying for his information being leaked by Google and somewhere else. Having said that, is it ethical? My question to you all is now, since we had this background run for the whole case study, and we also covered about a couple of multiple pointers by our dear friend, Advocate Shailendra. He spoke about the need for getting recognition. So David McLand also says, primarily nobody works for money. It might sound surprising for many of us, but the reality is David McLand's principle says we all work for either for the need for achievement, either for the need for power, or for the need for affiliation. This could be both personal or at the professional front. At the same time, my question to you is, Team E, is it really ethical for this employer in this case study to actually go on an open source like Google or Wikipedia and based on these reviews or based on this information that's there and then decide about him?
Thank you for the question, sir. Sir, the employer, I must say, if I could quote an example of Union Public Service Commission, sir, A few months back, or I said years back, sir, a person was admitted into the UPSC. He was released from jail. Why was he in jail? Because he committed a crime, and that crime was murder and rape. Then too he appeared for UPSC. He cleared UPSC and he got bail, lifetime bail for that crime. I won't say a lifetime bail, but he got released for that crime, and he is now serving as an IS. So, sir, as Shailendra sir mentioned, that it is a level of maturity. Union Public Service Commission is such a prestigious organization, or we can say an institution. The level of maturity is there, but we can't expect that level of maturity to be with every employer, sir. That way, sir, so it depends on the employer how he hires a person, whether he checks it's on Google or Wikipedia or not. Thank you, sir.
Sir, to briefly answer your question, sir, I think it's absolutely not ethical for the employer to just go on an open source website like Google, and where information can be manipulated very easily. I can go and change the Wikipedia of any person and write information on what I think. So, sir, it is not ethical for any employer, sir, because employer should know and should be matured enough to understand that Google and all of these open source websites can be manipulated very easily. So there are other methods, sir, and as you mentioned, so there are other websites, and even the law gives us a course of action or the plan how a systematic background check can be conducted, sir. So the employer must go through the law of land and do a systematic background check rather than just going to Google, searching his name and whatever first article pops up, because these news channels and all of these articles, they're end of the day making money out of this. They're not publishing it for transparency. They're not publishing it for right to information. They're trying to make money out of it. So they will definitely use clickbait titles, and it's a human tendency. We just read the title and close the website. So the employer does the same. He just reads the title, closes the website, and this is what happened in Akshay Singh's case, where he was acquitted of all charges, but the employer just read his case, and he lost his livelihood and he lost his personal life. So, sir, to briefly answer your question, sir, absolutely not, sir. It is not an ethical on any employer's part to just go on Google and open source website and just judge the whole person's profile based on that, sir.
All right. Any final remarks from Nandini and Ekta?
Sir, I really think that Ashmit and Anok have sir, put a lot of insights on the issue. Sir, I would just like to reiterate the stance of the team again, sir. Sir, as you just said, that was it ethical? Sir, as Ashmit said, that it was completely unethical on the employer's part, that if he is judging the employer who's coming to his company as a source because he wants to earn a livelihood, then, sir, we really think that the employer, sir, should have alternative methods. Sir, not even alternative, sir. He should have authentic sources from which he gets information, sir. Sir, it can either be the court, sir, it can either be the police. Sir, but certainly, as Ashmit Hananok said, that Google is not at all an authentic source for carrying a background check or to know about the background of a particular person who's coming to your company to earn livelihood, sir.
जी महोदय, ये बिल्कुल भी अनैतिक है, क्योंकि किसी एक व्यक्ति की पिछली पूरी कहानी जाने बिना उसे ऐसे नहीं कहा जा सकता, क्योंकि खोज इंजन पर हर समय कुछ ना कुछ जानकारी बदल दी जा सकती है. मुझे लगता है मेरे तीनों साथियों ने इस पर अच्छे से विवरण किया है. मैं अपेक्षा करती हूँ आपके प्रश्न का हम उत्तर दे सके. धन्यवाद.
Thank you very much for those answers. And let's also remember one thing: no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. It's a quote by Roosevelt, and it's always good to give people an opportunity. It's always important to give people a chance, irrespective of whatever their past deeds are. Because had that been the case, we wouldn't have got Valmiki's Ramayana in today's time, because Valmiki, we all know his history. If we read about him, we'll never read the Ramayana. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Team E. Judges, please score Team E's responses to your questions. Thank you, judges, as well as the participants. With this, we have come to the end of today's match. It was indeed a knowledgeable, intense, and interesting discussion. May I request our honorable judges to provide their feedback on today's discussion. I would like to request Mrs. Pooja Anand to say a few words on the performance of each team. Ma'am?
So I was just inquiring if it's afternoon or morning. Afternoon, yeah. So very good afternoon to our Honorable Chief Guest, Mrs. Nain, eminent judges, Advocate Aglave, Mr. Oswal, the principal of APS, the most dynamic principal of APS KIRKEE, Mrs. Sharma, respected teaching faculties, all the honorable dignitaries, and my dear children. I am really honored to be a part of such an insightful event today. Believe me, I haven't seen something like this, at least in Pune. So I feel, believe me, when we talk about competition, it corrects the moral blind spots, not just by changing the assisting the children in decision making, but also highlighting their general moral sense. So I was just mesmerized by the way both the team members, all of them, the way you spoke and the way you expressed with your views with so much of clarity. I'm sure when I was your age, I wasn't this confident, nor did we have such kind of exposure, such kind of meets with so many ideas just flowing in. So I would like to congratulate the whole APS team to put in so much of effort. Thank you so much for this. And as a judge, it was a very enhancing experience for me because I could see, the children working with such collaborative approach and engaging in the issues which our nation is dealing today. So I feel I'll be very proud as I walk out today that I'll be witnessing quite a few future parliamentarians out here. And I do believe that our country will be in good hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your feedback and encouraging words. Now I would like to request Shailendra sir to say a few words on the performance of each team.
Okay,
No, sir,
thank
we
you.
would like to hear, sir. We would like to. Thank you, sir.
Respected Chief Guest, Principal Ma'am, the teachers of APS, my colleague judges. It was indeed a great pleasure to be a part of this particular competition. I'm very much thankful and honored to be called again for the final round. And I really appreciate the efforts which the students have put up. Both of the teams, it was really difficult for us to give the marks. And yes, I have a few bit of suggestions for you, which I can't resist from putting up. So, and these suggestions are for the participant teams also, and maybe the question framers also. There is one important thing which you need to learn. Now, why you are a part of this competition is basically because of your ability, your performance in showing a higher ability to analyze the problem. Okay, so analyze the case, and secondly, uh, to analyze the case not only in terms of the real problem, but also in terms of the aspects which are involved in the case. Now, there is one important thing which I would give a suggestion to both of the teams as a practicing lawyer. So this is not as a judge, this is a suggestion as a practicing lawyer. See, we professionals, whether he is a doctor, whether he is a lawyer, finding the exact question is very important. Right. So this is also a suggestion for all the organizers and question framers also. You have the facts before you, you have the problem before you, you have the issues before you, which creates a lot of thoughts. But then boiling down the exact problem, the exact question is the most important aspect of your analysis. So unless you frame that question properly, You can't find the answer. So I'll just quote from the book named as Principia Ethica. This is written by G.E. Moore. It's a very old book, maybe 1920s it was written. It says that it appears to me that in ethics, as in all other philosophical studies, the difficulties and disagreements of which its history is full are mainly due to a very simple cause, namely to the attempt to answer questions without first discovering precisely what question it is which you desire to answer. Okay, so this framing of the question is something important which you have to always bear in mind, and in all your future endeavors. I don't know what background or what field of study you are in right now. If you are in the field of study of humanities, then this is much more important for you, because in science to frame a question is much more easier, and in humanities to frame a question is the most difficult task, because there are so many subjectivities to it, right? So these subjectivities have to be understood, and still the questions have to be properly framed. And second aspect is about the maturity, which we all talked about, which we discussed some time back. Now, how do you attain that? Your source of information has to be coupled with your analytical abilities and your attitude to question. So always I tell you, and I talked also, that you should be able to question whatever is coming before you. You should be able to question it and then find the answers to it. So whatever data comes to you, whatever information comes to you, you should be able to question it. And again, this team talked about the source of information. Mr. Oswald talked about the source of information. So yes, electronic source is definitely there, but the books which have been the part of our quest for knowledge, you should not ignore them. If you are students of humanities, you try to find out the concepts from Wikipedia and all those online pedias, but there are other encyclopedias also. There are encyclopedia of social sciences. It's a big 12 or 18 volume book. If it's a suggestion, if the schools can afford it, if the institutes can afford it, you should buy it. You should definitely go for having those encyclopedias in your library. They give such a precise insight into the concepts of social sciences, humanities, that it develops a habit in you. Whenever in future you come across those concepts, you go back to that encyclopedia. You try to find out exactly what the concept means. So that conceptual thinking, and besides giving you the information and knowledge about it, it triggers your own thought on that particular concept, on that particular subject, which is very much important. So keep studying, keep reading. And one more thing, as regards, I'll just come back to that aspect of that acquisition and acquittal aspect of it. See, there is one thing. There is no absolute truth so far as judicial decision making is concerned, which we have to remember. The courts give their judgment on the basis of available evidence, on the basis of how much, to what extent the prosecution was able to prove it. But that is not an absolute truth. What is an absolute truth? This is what you find on the emblem of Army Public School. So after years of having experiments with the truth, this is what Mahatma Gandhi concluded. Okay, so keep your quest for truth alive, and that's what is going to keep you going ahead always. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful feedback. Now I request Dr. Pranay Oswal to provide his feedback.
Happy, children? The session is over? Great. Ethics Bowl. Ethics Bowl is all about respect, respect for yourself and also for the others. Safeguarding one's dignity and also keeping dignity of others around you intact. Ethics Bowl is now almost a 3-decade-old concept introduced by the Illinois Institute of Technology in the US, founded in the year 1993, developed by Professor Robert Ladinson. I've had the opportunity to moderate one of these ethics bowl sessions during my MBA days almost a decade ago. Heartiest congratulations, ma'am, especially Aarti, ma'am, Mrs. Aarti Sharma, Principal of Army Public School, KIRKEE, our Southern Command's Ethics Bowl organizing team for curating such a thoughtful initiative. My compliments to all those backstage heroes out there who have been working tirelessly days and nights, especially yesterday as well, in setting up this whole show phenomenal. So congratulations, guys. You all have done a phenomenal job. Compliments to all those teachers, coaches, teachers, and those teachers who have been assisting the Ethics Bowl panels, particularly both these respective teams who have made it to the grand finale today. They are mentors who have spent tireless nights in reading legal case studies, particularly, which is outside your core competency. So congratulations, Team E and Team D, particularly for making it to the grand finale. It was especially for me, particularly to have this audio treat from both of you, one from Ekta and one from one of you. I'm sorry I forgot your name, but it was a pleasure to listen to Hindi because it is very rare in today's time, especially when we are attending all these sessions in English. Yeah. So yes, thank you very much for giving English language, so Hindi language, so much of importance. As Indians, we are popular around the equator in the art of interrupting, especially when we have somebody speaking. I was delighted today to observe that there was hardly any interruption, and overall the decorum of all the discussions were maintained with a measure. There was sophisticated agreement in both your disagreements. Congratulations, both the teams. My dear students, you should be immensely grateful to your respective teams. In this case, APS Golconda and APS Mumbai, particularly, for your respective schools for this exposure which you all have got today. Because usually this is given only to those students either at management level, either at either during law studies, either during technical studies, or during your military studies. It is even more important and pertinent in today's times as it thoroughly focuses on a child's critical thinking skill, logical reasoning skill, verbal reasoning skill, non-verbal reasoning skills, linguistics, verbal interpretation, problem solving skills, and also working with a clean conscience and activating the principles of morality, which has nothing but autonomy, justice, beneficence, non-maleficence, and fidelity. We are glad that we are enabled to add value in the lives of students of Army Public Schools for a couple of years now. I am once again sincerely grateful to the entire team of APS KIRKEE, our Southern Command Ethics Bowl Organizing Committee, for inviting me over, along with my fellow jury members. And it's always a pleasure to see our intellectuals take charge of the economy. Just when the whole world is struggling to look at the trees, it is time, my dear students, you show them the forest. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Well done, students, once again, and my heartiest congratulations to all the participants from all the teams. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening feedback. Thank you all, and congratulations to both the teams for a great round and brilliant performance. Thank you, everyone. Now I would like to hand over the mic to head girl of the school, Metika, for further proceedings. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we give a big round of applause for all the participants, the moderator, and the judges?
You all had us enthralled with your performance. Please give a big round of applause to the participants.
दुल्हन चली ओ बहन चली ओ रे दुल्हन चली ओ बहन चली तीन रंग की चोली.
Each day is precious as we can cherish our freedom. Freedom that has been won by our brave hearts, and hence the celebration of Vijay Divas. Judges,
Having experienced today's ethics bowl competition, a thought comes to my mind. This competition gave an excellent opportunity for students to think critically about the issues facing society in a collaborative setting. It brings together so many different skills such as teamwork, literacy, analysis, and communication that are essential for success in the 21st century.
Yes, I completely agree. Well, talking about success, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. In order to succeed, your desire for success should be greater than your fear of failure.
इनको
आपको
मुझे
हम सबको
जिस पल
जिस क्षण
का बेसब्री से इंतजार है
वह अब आ चुका है।
माना जीत की होगी खुशी पर हार का गम नहीं माना जीत की होगी खुशी पर हार का गम नहीं यहाँ तक पहुँचना भी किसी मंजिल तक पहुँचने से कम नहीं यहाँ तक पहुँचना भी किसी मंजिल तक पहुँचने से कम नहीं
Now, for the most awaited moment, I would like to cordially invite Mrs. Aarti Sharma, the principal of Army Public School, KIRKEE, to announce the winning team and wish them success. So we still have time for the declaration of results. So if there's anyone from the participants or from the audience who would like to share today's experience, anyone? They've already spoken enough, I guess. Anyone from the audience who would like to speak? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon. We are feeling as if the festivities are going over because we had a lovely time with all the children and the schools. Rightly said by Mr. Kulkarni, sometimes you have to watch the match from outside also. So we watched from outside the rink, but we enjoyed it. Only one thing which I would like to convey to everyone, all the principals who are watching remotely and sitting here, that this ethics bowl competition has helped us to erase the boundaries of being different schools. This competition has bound us so much that we have forgotten that I'm from KIRKEE or Dehu Road and in any school. We are one now because each and every child became so dear to us while we were watching them speak. In fact, sometimes we had tears also in our eyes because the way they were expressing themselves. Children, you are wonderful. Each and every child has put in lots of hard work, and the kind of maturity with which you handled each and every issue is really commendable. Winning and losing, I don't know the result, but it is a part of the game. And now I would like to announce the result with the permission of Mrs. Nayan. The first position goes to, any guesses? Team D. I know. And there's a very thin line between two teams, very thin line. So, no. E, sorry, D, team E. I'm so sorry, ma'am, you've given me team. I'm so sorry because the result which was given to me, team D is the runners-up and team E is the winner. Okay, I'll just announce the points also. Team E has scored 135.5 points and Team D 123.5 points. So heartiest congratulations. I'm really sorry, but I know both of you are winners. In fact, all the children who participated in the event are the winners. Now I would request Mrs. Nayan to kindly come up on the stage. Mrs. Walia, you're also requested to come.
I request the runners up Team D. I would also request Mrs. Aarti Jandyal to accompany the chief guest for the prize distribution. I request the runners-up Team D, to come up on the stage to receive their prizes. Yes, ma'am. The runners-up Team D, Ashmit. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Samyukta. God. Daksh Bhatt. Bhumi Arora. Niharika. Anushka. Agastya.
Now, I would request the winner team, Team APS GOLCONDA, to come up on stage and receive their prizes. Ashmit. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. Hanok. Hanok, Advait, Nandini, Sanvi, Ekta, We are immensely grateful to our team of judges who judged the event with their expertise and on the given topics of discussion.
I would like to request Mrs. Nain to hand over a token of gratitude and appreciation to our judges.
Mrs. Pooja Manish Anand,
Mr. Shailendra Aglave.
Dr. Pranay P. Oswal,
Please give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Now I would request Mrs. Nain to felicitate senior officials of SBI with a token of gratitude.
Major General MMS Bharat, retired Circle Defense Banking Advisor, Maharashtra, Goa and Gujarat. Mr. Jagannath Sahu, Deputy General Manager, SBI AO Pune.
Mr. Pankaj Kumar Singh, Regional Manager, SBI Pune Rural. Mr. Naresh Kumar Unhale, Branch Manager, SBI BGN Center. Thank you, sir.
I would like to invite Mrs. Poonam Thakur, the moderator for today's event, who had contributed immensely to make this event a great success. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Mrs. Anita Nain, Regional President, our Southern Command, we would like to give a token of gratitude to Mrs. Aarti Sharma. A big round of applause for Mrs. Aarti Sharma, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I request
I request all the guests, all the participants, the judges, everyone to be seated. Please be seated. Thank you. I
May I please request the guests to be seated for the vote of thanks? And the participants also to be seated for the vote of thanks, please. I request the participants and guests to be seated for the vote of thanks.
मैं उप प्रधानाचार्य महोदया आर्मी पब्लिक स्कूल किरकी श्रीमती रूपन जसवाल से अनुरोध करती हूं कि वे मंच पर आएं और धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करें।
Thank you, Ananya. I quote, "Children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future." As we conclude the Ethics Bowl 2022, hosted by Army Public School Kirki, let us resolve to give our children a world that they have envisioned. Let us believe in their dreams and let us give wings to their aspirations. Every child is precious, every child is gifted, and every child has the ability to carve a niche for himself. My greetings to the distinguished guests. On behalf of the chairman, principal, and staff of Army Public School Kirki, I would like to thank Mrs. Anita Nain, Regional President ABA Southern Star, for inspiring us to forge ahead with our upward stride, challenging our own benchmarks. I would like to thank Mrs. Anita Walia, Regional Vice President ABA Southern Star, for gracing the occasion. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank Mrs. Aarti Jaldial, Chairperson Schools, Southern Star, for the undaunted support and tutelage in all our endeavors. We are indeed grateful to the esteemed judges for the insightful and thought-provoking questions. It was truly a learning experience for each one of us. I thank the respective principals of all the participating Army Public Schools for their support and cooperation in the success of the event. A heartfelt gratitude to Mrs. Archana Patwardhan, Chairperson, Family Welfare Organization, BEGN Center, and Brigadier DG Patwardhan, Chairman, Army Public School Kirki, for bestowing belief in our intent and abilities. Your vision and insight constantly inspires us to reach the pinnacle of success. Our deep sense of appreciation to Colonel Anupam Mathur, Director AWES, for constantly enlightening us on various aspects of academics and administration, thereby contributing in our progress. I would like to extend special thanks to the senior officials from SBI for sponsoring the prizes today. I thank Major General MMS Baraj, retired Circle Defense Banking Advisor, Maharashtra, Goa, and Gujarat. Mr. Jagannath Sahu, Deputy General Manager, SBI. I also thank Mr. Pankaj Kumar Singh, Regional Manager, SBI, and Mr. Naresh Unale, Manager, SBI, BEGN Center. Our sincere thanks to Colonel Akshay Chakravarti, CEO, Adam Battalion, for his unflinching commitment to the school and its upkeep. We are indeed grateful to the parents of our wards for entrusting us and thereby contributing in the holistic development of our students. I quote, "A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. He does not set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the quality of his actions and the integrity of his intent." Like one of the judges said, to the most dynamic principal, a heartfelt gratitude to our principal, Mrs. Aarti Sharma. We thank you, ma'am, for being the inspiration and guiding light to help us scale new heights. A special thanks to the entire teacher-student fraternity, the strongest pillars of APS KIRKEE, and the admin staff headed by the administrative officer, Mrs. Sunita Pandey, for their unrelenting support in making the event a grand success. Today, at the meet, let us resolve to achieve excellence in our vision. Let us join hands to propel the future of our country by contributing in the making of a knowledge-based environment. Let us play an exemplary role in nurturing the young minds and through them contribute to nation building. Jai Hind. May I please request everyone to rise for the national anthem?
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
जय हिंद।
Take over.